superstar nutritionist Jillian McKeith is on a mission to help this woman get her groove back.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK. And today we're looking at fake and misleading public figures who claim to be experts in various fields.
Dr. Wakefield, I'm sorry to interrupt. Brian Deere, Channel 4 Television. Could I talk to you about your research, sir, and your commercial ambitions? Excuse me.
Gunther von Hagens.
Gunther is part doctor, part artist. He creates fascinating and beautiful, I think, works of art from human corpses.
He rose to prominence in the UK in the early 2000s via some extremely controversial shows in which he performed autopsies on Channel 4. Bizarrely, this was completely illegal at the time, and though the police went to the recording, they didn't stop him, and it got broadcast.
I should imagine your corpses don't talk at all, do they?
That's the difference.
That's the difference, yes. Do you feel comfortable, more comfortable with the dead than the living?
Very, yeah.
Around the same time, though, von Hagens was having legal trouble back in his native Germany, where it was alleged that he'd been lying about being a professor from the University of Heidelberg.
I'm a public anatomist. What I do, I use body donors, which I transform into a new entity.
He was ultimately fined for this, though the other legal claims were eventually dismissed. He was a lecturer at the university, but misrepresented his credentials.
I dissect them, and after dissection, I take the water out and put by vacuum process plastic in.
OK, can I stop and ask you?
Without water, no decay.
Yeah.
Melanie Phillips.
That is the problem. That is the problem. The defeatism of the British people against a clear threat to this country's interests.
She's been a controversial journalist for decades, going all the way back to her opposition to climate change, opposition to Irish independence, and belief that we should, quote, neutralise Iran.
And where our interests lie, as the West's interests lie, is in neutralising Iran.
But in 2024, she made yet another contentious question time appearance by claiming that the UN and other international groups, not to mention the world's newspapers, were lying about the conflict in Gaza.
You laugh because you don't know. I am telling you.
But hang on, Melanie, in fairness, the UN says that not enough trucks are being allowed in and that children are dying of starvation.
She claimed that it wasn't true that Israel was blocking humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza and that the UN was spreading falsehoods about it because it had been infiltrated by Hamas.
The UN has had its own operatives in UNRWA, the Relief and Welfare Organisation, who are members of Hamas, dozens and dozens of them.
Unsurprisingly, this seemed to have been the end of Phillips' mainstream journalistic career. Does she have any idea what she's talking about?
You are the problem.
Gregg Wallace.
It's on all the front covers, it's in all the papers, it's on all the TVs, but we're going to have to talk about the Gregg Wallace situation.
He wasn't exposed for his dubious credentials, but for bad behaviour on the sets of various shows and in his personal life for decades. However, in the light of all this, people have begun wondering how on earth he got all the way to MasterChef in the first place.
And they just said, tell me about food, which I did. And they said, right, we're going to be remaking MasterChef. They said, we've got a chef, we want someone else.
He's not actually a chef at all, getting his start in food by simply selling vegetables and then moving on to owning restaurants. But owning a restaurant and cooking food isn't the same thing, especially when all those companies went bankrupt in the 2010s.
Alongside the malt extract, this will add that all-important sticky texture to my loaves.
But, oh, that's lovely. Can I have some of that for me ice cream?
He's now been replaced on MasterChef by food critic Grace Dent, who's much more qualified than a fruit and veg salesman. The entire Married at First Sight panel.
This year's singles have been carefully matched through extensive research.
Just what are these people experts in? From the very beginning of Married at First Sight, a panel of experts appeared. Initially, they took care of the actual matching process and chose who was going to marry who, while later on they still did that, but also served as relationship counsellors for the fledgling couples.
Are you feeling happy, excited?
I'm proper excited, mate. Honestly, I've been budding, can't even sleep.
In the 2024 series, the show found itself facing Ofcom complaints when a violent outburst from Ross to his wife Sasha went totally unchallenged.
Now, Sasha and Ross are a couple I'm really excited about. both are driven individuals who've achieved really impressive goals.
The outburst, which wasn't broadcast, was discussed by Sasha with the experts, but they hardly did a thing. She could have easily been in real danger.
Sasha is a self-confessed daddy's girl, and given her past relationship traumas, she wants a partner who's dependable, loyal, and protective.
Dating guru.
There's no beautiful women in the UK.
No, there are, for sure.
That's racist.
A lot of them are foreign in London, and it's just comparatively, there are way more in Russia.
The man behind Super Seducer, How to Talk to Girls, an infamous seduction simulator widely mocked in video game circles, appeared on Good Morning Britain in 2017 to defend his claims about women. Allegedly a dating expert, Richard Larina had been saying publicly that English women were all repulsive, while he'd rather spend time with Russian women, who were much more amenable to his alleged charms.
Well, Richard, we have 3 English women here. Are they all fat, entitled, stupid? I mean...
I don't know.
What's your view of the women?
You don't know them.
He was derided by Piers Morgan and the other women on the show, Susanna Reid and Charlotte Hawkins among them, though he said that even his mother shared his beliefs about women.
And when you're actually confronted by smart, intelligent, beautiful women, you can't deal with them, can you?
Of course I can. I'm dealing with everyone.
Go on, let's see.
Mark Sargent. It's difficult to say that anybody can be an expert in the Earth being flat, as the Earth is not, in fact, flat. But Mark Sargent was so notable for a few years that he did the rounds on television to promote his theories.
Well, Mark Sargent is one of the leading voices in the Flat Earth movement, and he believes it's time that we all woke up and realised that we actually are living on a flat disc.
He turned up on This Morning to explain to Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby that NASA is extensively lying to the public and that the astronauts on the ISS are really just actors in a fancy film studio. Not just that, but all those fake astronauts are also Freemasons.
It's not because we can't prove it's a globe. Everything that in fact, it starts out with everybody that's in the Flat Earth community starts out looking at the globe saying, can you prove it?
You know your science is flimsy when Philip Schofield, of all people, is able to effectively debunk you on ITV's tamest magazine show.
I flew in Concorde, and I was lucky enough to fly in Concorde, and you get up to 65,000 feet, and I could see the curvature of the Earth. That was proof to me.
Every body language expert.
Constantly tactile, constantly, it's a very US body language insofar as they want to be showing the world all the time that they're a bonded couple.
Did you know that there's actually no evidence that reading body language is effective for lie detecting whatsoever, despite decades of research attempting to prove that it is? All psychologists and the scientific community as a whole have slammed the practice of body language analysis, which has infested modern broadcasting.
She uses a lot of also quite maternal gestures, and I think in a way that might be the secret.
TV shows around the world are full of so-called body language experts utilising techniques with no scientific backing, trying to analyse celebrity marriages and tell the public why the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are about to get divorced and so on.
So essentially, one of the things I look for is something called a micro-expression. Now, a micro-expression is a fleeting flash of emotion.
Science is unanimous. There is no way to determine if someone is being truthful or not via body language, and all those experts are grifters.
Gosh, if you wore a mask and were in COVID, you would miss 50%.
Absolutely.
That must be awful.
Andrew Wakefield.
We are seeking to establish whether there is a genuine causal association between the MMR and this syndrome or not.
Struck-off Dr. Andrew Wakefield was inescapable on television during the MMR scare, which he initiated with his fraudulent medical study claiming a link between the MMR vaccine and autism. News outlets devoured this story, though Wakefield's lies soon came to light.
Questions were raised today about the safety of the combined mumps, measles and rubella vaccine.
Not only did many of the children not have autism at all, but the parents weren't given informed consent for the procedures that were done to their children.
9 months before the press conference and video release, Dr. Wakefield and the Royal Free Medical School had filed the first in what would become a string of patent applications.
Wakefield was also hired to do the study as a way to promote an alternate, separate vaccine for the conditions, which he had just so happened to patent, meaning he was set to profit hugely from it, had it taken off.
My opinion is that the MMR should be suspended in favour of the single vaccines.
The study was retracted and his medical licence revoked. Stephen Bartlett.
I'm Stephen Bartlett, and I'm the founder of a company called Social Chain.
Podcast and tech millionaire Stephen Bartlett rose to even more prominence when he was recruited for Dragon's Den, investing in some very strange products, to say the least. He got in bother for investing in some ear seeds in 2024, a product which claims ME can be cured by putting beads inside a person's ear, but also got into trouble with the ASA.
This product, called Daily Greens, is one of the most highly requested products at Huel, but it's never been sold in the UK before.
Bartlett was advertising Huel, the popular meal replacement supplement, without disclosing that A, it was an advertisement, and B, that he worked for the company as a non-executive director, thereby giving him a conflict of interest. The adverts were ultimately banned.
One scoop every morning, a very, very delicious scoop. You can get 91 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced nutrients into your diet.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Jillian McKeith.
Erica fancies herself as a cook, which is great, but filling yourself up on hot and spicy foods isn't guaranteed to make you feel slim and sexy.
Was Dr. Jillian McKeith even a real doctor? Well, no, not at all. She has absolutely no medical credentials whatsoever. Despite rising to fame in the 2000s on various health shows, usually as a nutritional expert with a strong interest in looking at other people's poo, she was ordered by the ASA to stop calling herself a doctor in 2007.
Erica's already eaten her way to type 2 diabetes. Before things get even more dire, I have to get her back to my clinic to find out what other damage her bad diet has done to her body.
She branded herself Dr. Jillian McKeith for years before this, claiming to have a PhD in holistic nutrition, though this qualification wasn't from an accredited institution.
If Erica really wants to get her groove back, she has to follow my plan of diet and exercise.
In the years since she left mainstream television, she's made many more dubious claims, including opposing vaccines and encouraging people to eat potentially poisonous algae to cure their ailments. Let us know in the comments which of these experts you knew was talking nonsense.
I am the best thing to happen to Erica since sliced bread, sliced whole grain bread.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.